It's time for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, the show that helps you be prepared to care for your family regardless of the circumstances that may come your way. Now, here's your host for today, Mark Lamb.
Well, we're in the studio with Glenn again, and you were able to walk up the driveway this time.
Yeah.
Which is helpful.
Yeah. And didn't slide back down.
Yeah. And I'm coming off a little bit of a cold. That's why I sound the way I do, but I'm going to muddle my way through.
Me too.
And just chime in every now and then. Yeah, you had a little bit of a chest cold when we did the phone interview last week.
Yeah, it just kind of hung around for a while. And
yeah.
I guess it came with the snow.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they put it in there or just washed out of the air, but there it was on my front door. So
what we got going today, brother?
Well, we're just going to talk about how we get here. We just talked about the halftime show at the Super Bowl, which I don't watch anymore.
Right.
Just how do y'all get there? Well, it's just the craziness that the working people are still working and don't have time to do the stupid stuff.
Right.
I could have said a lot more there, but I was afraid to be the FCC might kick me off.
Well, apparently the FCC, if you do it in Spanish,
they are asleep, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you say it in Spanish, they're not. You're going to get away with it. Apparently, there was some things in some of the songs that Bad Bunny did that were pretty nasty, but I'm not hearing anything other than a few talk show hosts talking about it.
Guess what? I know nothing about him. Don't care to know nothing about him, and he'll never see a dollar of mine.
Right.
So that's how I protest.
Yeah, there you go.
And say things under my breath. So how we get here? Well, how
and you're talking culturally, just so we understand.
Just, how we got here in everything.
Okay. All right.
We just kept seeing things around us going, I don't like that. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to participate in that.
Right.
And that's how I got started in even showing up at the radio station going, I want my own show. I had no idea how to do what I wanted to do. All I knew is I was kind of disgruntled with what I was seeing and wanted to see if there was other people out there because I was seeing evidence of it that, the food system, that's how it started out for me. Right. I realized that the quality of my food that I was paying a lot of money for was crap. Mm-hmm. Processed foods and all that, we've if you don't know it's poisoned, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
But just trying to eat well, and you realize there's no nutrition to it. Mm-hmm. And you start researching it, you go, why does the tomatoes not even have tomato taste? Mm. So I started doing my research. I've done gardening my whole life, and I thought, they could surely do better than this. What's going on here? Then I figured out it's all grown for profit. It has nothing to do with your nutrition, has nothing to do with anything about you other than your money. Mm. Okay, so what's that mean? Well, it means that they grow it for profit, pure profit. Mm-hmm. So why am I paying such exorbitant dollars for something that I thought was helping me, that I actually need, not just help, something I need to function.
Right.
And it's not there. But the price is still there.
Right.
And that's kind of when you started seeing organic this and organic that. But they figured out pretty quickly, too, that they have to do the same things. They have to pick it while it's half green or it won't ship well, all those kind of things. So it's still all about the profit.
Right.
There are growers out there that are doing really good, and, they show up at the farmer's market. If you wanted something that's a little better than normal, you probably have to go to a local market where you can meet the farmer. Mm-hmm. And you go, hey, you might want to let these tomatoes ripen just a tad bit more, so I will give you my money.
Right.
That's how it started for me. And the more I researched it, the more I found out how much I was being poisoned by all the chemicals that they put on it. Mm-hmm. And they do that because they want to keep the profit,
Right.
to keep the bugs off.
Right.
Okay, we've talked about this 100 times. They have to spray it so a bug doesn't attack it.
Right.
And then they killed not only the bad bugs, but the good ones too, including your honeybees,
Right.
ruh-roh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of that, pushed me to do something about it. Now, I did several things about it. I fixed what was wrong in my little world.
Mm-hmm.
I grew my own food
Right.
and went, wow, that's better.
Mm-hmm.
So I started telling other people, hey, you should probably grow your own food. And this was why. They had no idea. It was never taught to them, how the whole cycle works.
Mm-hmm.
And people start going, well, that's cool. It's not cool. This is essential to you to keep you from getting sick and having toxic metals into your body and blah, 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 and poison and Monsanto and just one thing after another. And you go, I didn't know that. Well, now you do. So what are you going to do about it?
Right.
And the proof is in something that I can hand them, something they could see, a ripe tomato, and they went, wow, that is the best tasting tomato I've had in a long time. Or my apple off of my tree that it's just the juice runs down your elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, wow, I forgot what apples taste like. I forgot what peaches taste like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I picked my first real piece of fruit off my peach tree, I was a happy camper because it was like when I was a kid. You bite into it and the juice runs down your elbow, and when you get done, you got to wash your hands because your hands are sticky from the sugars and those complex sugars that give taste. And I went, wow, I'm doing it right here. This is why I put in all the work. So that's how I got started in all this, and I wanted other people to know. And I come to a realization that when I was telling people about that, they had no idea about it. And so that's a whole generation that lost a knowledge that they should have, a common knowledge. No one knew how to grow their own food to make it worth their while. You just can't put seeds in the ground and think you're going to get some beautiful harvest out of it. It's just not the way it is. Your soil must be a living soil, or you don't get those great tastes out of it. And once you start showing people, okay, this is what you need to do to your soil, and you go, this is like going back to grade school. They taught this stuff in grade school.
Right.
They're not being taught in any of that. Then you find out, well, they don't even know how to can their stuff to preserve it or store it in any form or fashion. Yes, they could eat it fresh out of the garden, but what if they want it in the middle of wintertime? You can't have that. If it snows on the ground, you're not going to be picking tomatoes.
Right.
So they need to know how to can it. Well, they didn't know nothing about that. They make slight references to their grandmother. I remember my grandmother doing that. Well, how come you didn't pay attention? Because I was busy. I was doing something else. I was, chasing a dollar or whatever it is.
Sure.
And it was so convenient just to run to the local grocery store.
Right.
So there was no need. Well, guess what? The need's back.
Right.
In a big way. Not just nutritionally, but financially. I mean, you can't hardly afford to be healthy.
Right. Well, you look at the difference between organic grapes and regular grapes that aren't, and it's about a third to half more for quote unquote organic.
And I'm not sure if that little sticker is not a lie also.
Right.
You know, that somebody paid somebody
Yeah.
to allow you to put that sticker on there. Now, I can't speak firsthand of how that process works. All I know is it's a big deal when it first started.
Sure.
But it is no longer a big deal to get a certified organic sticker. You know, there are people that are jumping through the hoops, but there are people that don't have to jump through the hoops. And that's what I've come to the realization, that it is not a fair system.
Yeah.
What out there is now a fair system for us?
Right.
I don't see it. Okay, well, then that's a problem, folks. If it's a two-tiered everything, it used to be you'd hear two-tiered justice system. Well, people started looking around and going, wow, that over there is not two-tiered or fair. It's a two-tiered system also. Everything seems to be it. Now I'm kind of ticked, you know. And the more you run into it, the worse it gets.
Right.
So in realizing that, it started expanding into everything that I was running into. People didn't know how to create or be creative to build anything of their own. They had to hire someone to do it all. They didn't have any tools or didn't have the knowledge, and I'm going, where did all this go?
Right.
It just slipped by the way because of convenience.
Well, total reliance versus self-reliance.
Right.
And you can be self-reliant only so much because you can't know everything. But
Oh,
goodness
fact.
gracious, you better know some basics.
If you have an issue with changing a light bulb because the light bulb, you know, burn out, you go, I need to call an electrician. Well, goodness gracious. Thank God for YouTube, because some people will use that. But it's just that I don't know whether it's a lazy mentality, a just oblivious mentality. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Somebody just turned the switch off. But what really happened, I think, is we just became separated. Separated from families, and I'm not too sure if that wasn't on purpose. They drove a wedge between cultural groups. They drove a wedge between family groups. They drove a wedge. That's all I can say. And we're all kind of feeling this, something's missing. So you just kind of plod along, you know, but the only thing that's maintained a steady pace is work. And I'm thinking, that's exactly what they want. They want you head down, keep your mouth shut, and work. Pay your taxes.
Man, that sounds like the Soviet Union, doesn't it?
Ta-da!
I mean, really.
When are you going to get off of that treadmill? Well, I kind of got off of it a long time ago and says, I'm going to work for myself. If I'm going to work this hard, it's going to be for me. And when I was a younger man, I was pretty good at my craft, and I made a lot of people a lot of money and got nothing for it. The reward was more good work.
Right. Yeah.
So
Wow. I never really thought about it that way.
I just decided I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to work for myself. Was it easy? Heck no. I've never worn so many hats all in one day. But all of a sudden my pay was much greater than it was working like a dog for someone else. I was working more
Right.
because I had so many jobs to do.
Sure.
You know, you're the accountant, you're the tax guy, you're the inventory control guy, you're everything. But it got easier. I got into good habits, and it made things a little easier. So for me, that's what I did. But everybody else, you're on a treadmill here. There is, the entrepreneurial spirit is not very prevalent. And I don't know why. It's like we've been
Well, I think
brainwashed.
They've made it so hard.
Well,
Glenn.
regulation makes
Yeah.
it extremely hard.
And taxes, there's no reason it has to be as complex. I mean, the tax code it's crazy. And you don't, people don't even really understand it. The people that created, the bureaucrats up in D.C., I don't even think they fully understand it.
Well, they make you have a license to take your skill and put it out there.
Right.
That kind of irks me. If I've got that skill and I can do those things, but there's a flip side to that. When you have unscrupulous people in the contracting industry, and that's what I'm speaking of here, they will cut corners, do dangerous things. So you kind of understand the licensing thing. But once you get a hold of the license, there's nothing to stop them from doing the same unscrupulous stuff. So I'm not real sure, what the answer is there on correcting all that. I've got enough problems to fix right here, so we'll stick with that. So what I think is missing and what people have tried to find but don't know how to get there is just the community itself. My wife and I don't go out to dinner anymore. I've worked in that industry as far as building restaurants and repairing restaurants. I see what's behind in the kitchen now. I'm not saying all of them are like this, but I'm telling you, folks, if they would allow it, might want to sneak back here. Now there are some restaurants that clean as a pin, but they're few and far between, and that's as much as I'm going to say. And I dealt mostly with fast food industry, so I don't want to hear nothing from one of these nicer restaurants going, you trashed us. No, I'm just saying as on average. So the community thing where you would go out and say, let's all go out to dinner, I don't hear that too much anymore. Let's all go do something, you group of friends. We're all just too busy working our butts off to enjoy ourselves.
Right.
So that's that treadmill I was telling you about. So what do you do about that? You're gonna have to find something that is worthwhile. We have canning days over on the farm where we'll bring 4 or 5 families together and do some type of canning. We talked about salsa day and apple day, where we processed 3,500 pounds of apples in one day. I mean, these people were working their butts off, and I mean, they did. They absolutely worked their butts off and smiled the whole time. How often do you really see people really smile in a group? It doesn't happen much. Everybody's just kind of got their head down and just muddling through it. So having that community, to me, is the important part. It's the only way you're going to get through a tough time, and it's becoming more important all the time because people just don't have the ability to sustain themselves on their own. So losing your community or having a weak connection to your community, you're actually weakened yourself and made yourself more vulnerable. Because if the crap does hit the fan, all these people that have all these skills are not going to be available. I mean, they're just not. So if you've got a little community group and, this guy's a mechanic and this guy's a doctor and this guy's electrician, at least you have a backup that you can call on somebody. I'm blessed enough that I can fix about anything. But people like me are few and far between and are going to be real busy when the time happens. So having that community together where you can call on one another, and it could be just something simple. Everybody's got a little plan if you're smart. If the crap hits the fan. But you're going to have holes in that plan. And the only way you're going to patch that hole is if you can reach out to somebody, your inner circle, outer circle, or just general community that you can get a hold of and say, hey, I need help. Can you do this? Can you do that? Do you have this plumbing part? Do you have this piece of wire to fix whatever's broke?
Mm-hmm.
Can you get my generator started? All those kind of things are lost arts.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much in the school systems to teach
It
anybody.
used to be shop
anything.
class.
Shop class, home economics class.
Mm-hmm.
I actually took home economics.
Did you really? Okay.
You know why? Because that's where all the girls were. I caught a lot of crap from my guy friends, but I laughed at them. I was like, I'm surrounded by cute little women the whole day. Who you hanging out with? But at any rate, I took all the shop classes, they had to, and learned a whole lot, But that's not important to the education system anymore. That got pushed out the door,
Right.
Which is a foolish thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So people are starting to awaken to all this. It's not like I'm bringing some revelation here. January 6th was an eye-opener for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew it was coming, so it was kind of a setup. And I kind of figured that out before, it all happened. But then COVID hit, and that's when you realized where your vulnerabilities really are, and how much control these people have over us. That is not what they should have. If you're a free man, you ought to be able to make decisions on your own for your family without a whole lot of guff from the government. But that's not how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much just shut us down and said, you sit right there and shut up and take this shot, or we're going to take everything from you. We're going to take your job. We're going to take, You go, wow. A lot of people lost their job because they didn't do what the government said. That kind of irked me. Well, you better wakey.
Yeah.
And people did. And they started looking around again, just going, they're doing the same thing over here. They're doing it over here and over there. That's not what I voted for. That's not what the Constitution was written for.
Right.
And we can get into the Constitution pretty hot and heavy on all this.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we can stop it at this point. I think we're past that tipping point of everybody stopping it.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people that are really trying hard. But I'm thinking it's going to go like the book says.
Right.
You know what book?
Yeah.
I'd say it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what book I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Everything we're talking about is right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, okay, I just need to do what the book says then.
Right.
And the book says those that are prepared will endure.
Yeah.
Well, endure what? Well, endure whatever crap they throw at you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's happening. In all of this deep state whatever, we talked about a division between cultural groups, family groups, but you poke somebody enough times, and they start to wake up, and usually when they are, they're kind of angry,
Right.
and it's that epiphany moment that's going to make people do stupid stuff. You and I may be reasonable men, but I've been around a lot of these people, and they are not reasonable. Both sides, folks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Both sides.
Yep.
So if you're throwing matches at gunpowder here, eventually one of them's going to hit, and that's what's I think is getting ready to happen. We're being pushed way past our patience.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of that, if you know it's coming and you know it's going to be a bunch of crap behind it, be prepared for crap. Be prepared to stay out of that crap.
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be groups that are going to be unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be groups that are scared to death.
Yeah.
Find a resourceful group,
Mm-hmm.
an adaptable group,
Mm-hmm.
an intelligent group that realizes that the violence is not going to fix it. You know,
Right.
though it may happen, eventually after the violence calms down, somebody's got to sit down and talk.
Right.
Talk it
Exactly.
out and go, okay, look,
Exactly.
you did this wrong, and we're not going to tolerate it anymore. And if
Yeah.
if you don't do it right, there's going to be more violence.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, you got to get to that point.
Yeah.
So somebody's got to be there to get to that point.
Yeah.
That would be the reasonable people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can we stop if the whole thing from blowing up in her face? You know, in the beginning, I don't know. Hope so, because you really don't want what everybody's calling civil war.
Right.
That is not something you want. It's ugly enough without that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So, what is our solution here? For me, God, family, community, Constitution, and pretty much that order. You could meld the two to couple together. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is not your thing, I get that too. But for me, that's what it is. Because without all those, you're really wandering around by yourself, and being by yourself is a bad place to be.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be an island in today's community. You just cannot, because you don't have the resources, and the resources are really not available to you to do it by yourself, including food, shelter, and water.
Right.
You know, our food system is kind of taken out of your hands. And for a majority of people, so is the water.
Right.
So just those two have been taken out of your hands, makes you extremely vulnerable. There's a third, and that's energy. And then there's a fourth, it's your communication. And you start saying, but I need all these things. True, but what if you don't have them?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an alternative? And that's what I've preached for a long time. And that's how I got here. I want people to have that alternative. May not be as good as the existing system, but at least I have it. At least I can turn to it as a backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
Because if crap hits fan, these systems that are set up now are going to just be turned off, shut down. You know, an interruption.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do? If you don't have this backup plan of some type and this group to fill in the blank spots,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have a rough time. Rough time meaning whatever you think it means.
Well, can I use an example? Because when we tape this, we still don't know whether Savannah Guthrie's mom is alive or not, and they're getting ready by tonight, by 5 o'clock, to put a $6 million, transaction to Bitcoin. And the reason I bring that up, Glenn, is here is a woman of great wealth. Okay, she's worth way more than $6 million.
Right.
I mean, she's a star on NBC. And you've got the government involved, local, state, and federal, and they can't seem to crack this thing.
Right.
And that's with the resources behind you. Imagine when we get put into these scenarios where there will not be any resources, even that maybe we can activate to find solutions for the immediate problems that are in front of us.
Right. With the entire force of the government and law enforcement, and they still can't do it.
Right.
What chance are you going to have if the crap hits the fan
Right.
and everything's on you?
Right.
Right. All the decisions, all the knowledge, everything comes down to just you
Right.
supplying your family. Can you do it? Are you going to be able to do it?
Right.
Do you have enough connections within your community,
Other
your
people,
neighborhood,
right. Mm-hmm.
to get you through it, to get us all through it?
Sure.
I mean, I said, what is the solution? And being God, family, community, and Constitution. These are the same things that made this country great to start with.
Right.
And we've allowed people to take over that and to degrade it, to deny us access to it, to change it, to ruin it. Well, if you can fix some of that, okay. But I would highly suggest that you make an alternate plan. And I'm not talking about some uprising here. I'm talking about just start with your family. Then work it out to the inner circle.
Right.
Then your entire community. If you can strengthen all those in those orders, you've increased your chances. And that's about all I can do for you. I mean, information-wise, how do I do this? How do I do that? Sure, you can ask. But I can't do all those things for you. You have to do them on your own. You may be the leader of your entire neighborhood.
Right.
You may have never done it before. Who has? You know, for me, I run a little company. I am that guy that makes things flow along. Well, I may have a little more experience in that, but there is nobody. No one's coming to save you on this. For your little group, for your family, you have to step up. Step up, folks. Step up in a big way. And start it with your family. And from there, you'll get a little more experience, and it'll branch out. It really will branch out, because everybody's feeling the pinch, feeling the vulnerabilities. And if you're not, you're an idiot. And I'm not going to waste my time with you or try to make you mad or try to convince you. I'm looking for people that already understand. You know, have already read to the back of the book and go, wow, I see that. Yeah. All right. So that's you, folks. If you need help with it, reach out, gather up a little group, because we're getting close to the end here.
Start with your neighborhood.
This is a tick-tock moment, you know, when the alarm goes off, and I'm not sure what's going to happen with our financial system. I think we're going... I think we're going to go digital, and people are going to go nuts, because I really don't want to go digital.
Yeah.
Because if you do, it means they can turn you off.
Yep, they can track whatever you're buying, and if it doesn't fit the
track
narrative,
is one thing. Telling me I can't buy it or sell it.
Well, they track it, and then, like you say, they have the ability to turn it off.
Yeah, you've bought.
You don't think the banks are in bed with the government? Look at the Fed.
Oh my
The Fed
gosh.
is an independent, quote unquote, organization that is headed up by banks,
Well,
big banks.
I've traced that lineage back, and it starts in a place you probably have never heard of, the Tartarian Empire. You've heard of the Ottoman Empire.
Yes.
You ever hear of the Tartarian?
No, I have not.
They erased that. You look at the World's Fair of 1909. Those buildings that they built, and they said just in a few years, and then tore them all back down. Have you ever seen any of the pictures in 1909 World's Fair?
No.
Oh my gosh. The architecture is unbelievable.
Huh.
And they built that in just a few years? When they can't duplicate it today? Wait a minute. What's going on? I'd advise you to check out the Tartarian Empire, because it was taken over by, you're not going to believe this one, the Rothschilds.
Oh, gosh.
The Tartarian Empire was based on, and it was huge. It was all over Asia. next to China, was not China. Everybody thinks it was part of China. It was not. But that whole area had huge amounts of goods and services from all over the world. How did they do that? Their architecture was unbelievable, but their monetary system was not like it. Any monetary system we have now, where you have a centralized bank, they didn't have them. They had an accounting system. They didn't use coins, metal, money, or anything like that. They had little leather tags, but it was basically barter and trade.
Mm-hmm.
But they placed value on everything, your skill level.
Right.
Have you ever heard of the Gilded Age?
Yes.
The Gilded Age, meaning that there was a carpenter's guild. There was a grower's guild, which was growing all the food.
Mm-hmm.
So there was all masters of their craft.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you got social status
Interesting.
in the Tartarian Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And not because you reach master level, it's because of how many other people you have taught throughout your lifetime
Okay.
to bring them up to a master craft level.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't care how much you knew. They want to know how many other people did you help bring up to that level.
Okay.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So everything was dependent on all these guilds and the master craftsmen. If the town needed a building built, they just went and built it. The guy that owned land that was growing timber trees, he donated that to the town.
Mm-hmm.
And because he had status, he could afford to do that. Not money, he had status. They could walk into any store, a master of whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and the people would just give it to him out of respect. Whatever, if you needed a new pair of shoes, the cobbler would say, "You've helped so many people. Here, just take them." And the entire Tartarian Empire was based off of that principle.
Okay.
Holy cow. Now, at some point, they had to have some way of holding value that you could trade that was other than your skill. So they had these little leatherette coins that they printed just to show that you can trade something.
Mm-hmm.
But it was all over the world. How'd they do that? They don't know. And all this information from the Tartarian Empire is just now coming out. Now, this all started right around the time the Rothschilds took over the Tartarian Empire. Their accounting system, not a banking system, but an accounting system. They never charged interest on anything that they loaned out. And they did loan things out or would hold to account some item, an asset.
Yeah, leverage. Yeah.
Right. And
Make sure you're going to pay your bill back. Yeah.
Well, not so much that. They would say this asset is worth your 3 assets.
Okay.
Do you agree? Yes, I agree with that. So they could swap those. So that's the monetary system that they used, was asset-based. But the Rothschilds came in and took over that and started charging compounded interest on the monies that they lend or the assets they leveraged.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of the Tartarians.
Okay.
And they erased the history of the Tartarians. You go back to 14th century maps, and they show Tartaria. After the Rothschilds come in, you don't see it anymore.
Interesting.
Conspiracy, all that kind of stuff, go ahead. But look at the architecture throughout the whole country, our own country. This beautiful architecture, we can't explain where it came from and can't be reproduced. Somebody did it.
Yeah.
It was the Tartarian Empire that came to our country, that we actually traded with. There's a lot to this.
Yeah.
We've been lied to about a lot of stuff.
Sounds like another show.
Now you can go down the Alex Jones trail if you want.
Right.
I'm more facts based.
Mm-hmm.
Show me.
Yeah.
Show me the picture,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll start to see them. And they're not going to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
They just say it was here.
Right.
But nobody seems to have the records of how it all became about.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother show, I got a feeling. But the whole point of this was their system of accounts.
Mm-hmm.
I hold you to an account that you act right, and I'll help you.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're going to make it, folks. Not with gold and silver,
Mm-hmm.
not with a greenback dollar, not with some loan from a bank. We're going to head to a place where it is asset-based, and your word better be bond, or we'll just remove you out of the system,
Mm-hmm.
remove you out of our circle because you can't be trusted. How much do you trust the government? How much do you trust
Not a whole
anything?
lot. Yeah, not a whole lot.
All the trust seems to be fading away, folks.
Right.
And once you've hit that, the dollar will go away.
Mm-hmm.
Your standing in the world will go away.
Right.
People can't trust you. They don't want to deal with you.
Mm-hmm.
And usually get mad at you and throw rocks at you. So seems like everybody's throwing a lot of rocks these days,
Yeah.
worldwide.
Yeah.
But we can do better. It's already been done better once. And it's when everybody worked together and treated everybody fairly.
Right.
A win-win deal is the deal you should make in business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of win-win deals that ever come out. It seems like how they can screw us the worst.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to deal with those kind of people.
Right.
So I'm going to try to deal with my little world and my people in it.
Mm-hmm.
I may not have access to all the stuff, conveniences that you normally would, but keep it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need it.
Right.
I'm a pretty simple person. As long as I've got food, water, shelter,
Food, water, shelter.
and good people around me, what more do you want, folks?
Mm-hmm.
So think about all
Wow.
that. That's a lot to think about.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to get back to something that's worthwhile, you better pick a different direction than we're going.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that for today.
All right. Well, Glenn,
And
as
that's how
usual,
we got here.
That's how we got here. Well, thank you, sir.
All right.
Join us again next week for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, helping you be prepared and not scared. This podcast drops every Friday anywhere you get your podcast.